Luka Doncic has been dominating the EuroLeague recently and is projected to be a top 5 pick in the 2018 NBA draft. Today, I will be discussing his strengths and weaknesses, what his future holds for him, and what pick I think he'll land in the 2018 draft. So, let's get right into this.
I've been in the hills, fucking superstars, feeling like a pop star. Drinking Henny, bad bitches jumping in the pool and I ain't got on no bra.
Let's start off with his strengths and weaknesses. Luka Doncic's strengths are, he's an amazing shooter. Luka Doncic is a phenomenal shooter and has amazing range. Though his 3-point percentage isn't as good as you'd like it to be, I would still call him a sharp shooter. You could even compare him to Steph Curry, range-wise. He has a big height advantage. In the NBA recently, we have seen players who should be playing like a big man or wing, play like a guard and absolutely dominate. Examples of this are players such as Giannis, Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons. Luka Doncic is no different. He can play the 2-guard all the way up to power forward and can still dominate. His ball handling skills create mismatches and so can his shooting. Putting an average power forward on Doncic will allow him to blow right past them, and putting a guard will allow him to get more space for a 3 or mid-range jumper, as he has too much length for the guard to contest. He has a high basketball IQ. Luka Doncic is a very smart player. He always makes the correct decision when running plays and taking the ball up the court. This shows in his stat line, as for his entire career, he's been averaging less than half a turnover per game. He averages 0.3 turnovers per game. That is an insane stat. Luka Doncic is an amazing passer also, and his assist to turnover ratio is one of the greatest I've ever seen. It is 9.3 assists per turnover. That is simply crazy and proves how much of a mature and smart player he is. That will conclude his 3 main strengths. But what are his weaknesses? Lateral quickness and one-on-one defense. These two kind of relate, so I just made them one weakness. Luka Doncic isn't very quick laterally, and this can be a big problem. Against more explosive opponents, he struggles to keep up, and when he's defending in isolation, he usually loses with his opponent blowing right past him. If he can just improve this, then he will be a very good player, as he will be hard to guard and hard to score over. He lacks aggressiveness. Luka Doncic is a good player, but sometimes he just lacks that killer instinct to take over a weaker opponent. He can be very passive and he needs to become a more aggressive player. Those are the 3 main weaknesses and strengths, so now on to the next part of Luka Doncic's analysis. What does his future in the NBA hold for him? Now I'm going to be going over what position I think he'll land in the draft soon, so I won't mention it now, but I can see Luka Doncic doing extremely well in the NBA and being an all-star in his career. I think that if he can work on his weaknesses before the draft and before entering the league, then I see him becoming a big threat to a lot of NBA teams. I'd compare him to Manu Ginobili as his player comparison and have a career like him too. Luka Doncic has an inch or 2 on Ginobili, but both have standard size and neither are overly long or explosive. They're non-traditional star wings for their relatively average athleticism and length. I can see Luka Doncic averaging maybe 20 points per game at his peak, with 5 assists. Finally, where will Luka Doncic land in the 2018 draft? I predict he'll go 3rd, 4th or 5th, depending what team goes where. Right now, multiple sites predict he'll go 4th to the Bulls or Cavs. Both of these situations are good for Doncic, but I like the Bulls one especially. He would play the shooting guard next to Levine and point guard, or Doncic could go point guard and Levine could go shooting guard. The Cavs situation I'm not that much a fan of because being surrounded by all-stars will slow his growth and his transition into becoming an all-star. We saw it with Jaylen Brown last season, and to be honest, I just don't want to see Doncic's talents being wasted like that. But that will conclude the video. What do you think of Luka Doncic? Let me know in the comments. Also let me know if I pronounced his name correctly. I did try my best. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, but with that being said, I am out. Peace.
Ball player, crib in the Himalayas. Put my bitch in the streets. You put your bitch on the shelves. Big weight fish scales. Bluebird in the mail. Feeling like Blue Clue. Here come the mail I wanna yell.
Yeah, fuck up a check. I'm about to flood it.